it's, not what it looks like. To Tim and Moby. I've heard the moon waxes and wanes. What does that mean? From Devin. Hey Devin. Here on Earth, the moon doesn't always look like a perfect circle in the sky. Its appearance changes over time. It waxes, or grows, and wanes, or shrinks. The moon goes through a cycle of different shapes, or phases, over the course of about 1 month. In fact, the whole concept of months is based on this cycle. Believe it or not, shadows have nothing to do with the moon's phases. You might be picturing the Earth-Moon-Sun system like this. But if everything were all flat like this, you'd get a solar eclipse every time the moon was here, and a lunar eclipse every time it was here. In reality, eclipses are pretty rare. Okay, let's see how it really looks. The moon's orbit around the Earth is tilted about 5 degrees from our orbit around the sun. So, in most cases, any shadows cast by the Earth and moon completely miss each other. Now that we've cleared that up, let's see the phases in action. Like the Earth, half the moon's surface is always lit by the sun, and half is in the dark. But the amount of that bright side that we can see changes as the moon moves through its orbit. When the moon is directly between the Earth and sun, forming a straight line, the entire bright side is facing away from us, so we see nothing at all, or at best a dark disk. This phase is called the new moon. Right, as you move along in your orbit, more and more of your bright side becomes visible to me. In other words, the moon is waxing. Phases where you can see less than half of the bright side are called crescent moons. When the moon has completed 1/4 of its orbit around Earth, we can see half of its illuminated side. Astronomers call this the first quarter moon, but it's more commonly known as a half moon. Once you can see more than half, it's called a gibbous moon. When the moon and the sun are on opposite sides of the Earth, the entire bright side of the moon is facing toward us, so we see a shiny full moon. Beautiful, isn't it? Now, as the moon continues its orbit, we see less and less of its lit side. It passes through the waning gibbous phases, and when it completes 3/4 of its orbit, the other half of the bright side becomes visible as the third quarter moon. Next, it passes through the waning crescent phases, and finally, the moon comes back around to where it started, and we're back to a new moon. The amount of time between one new moon and the next is called a lunar month, and it's about 29.5 days. But the time it takes for the moon to make one complete orbit around Earth is actually a bit less, about 27.3 days. Well, remember, while the moon travels around the Earth is moving around the sun. So, when the moon finishes one complete circuit, the Earth has moved quite a bit. The 3 bodies now form an angle instead of a straight line, so we can still see a crescent moon. It takes the moon about 2 days to catch up and get into new moon position again. Okay, now we can finally put these costumes away. Oh no. That's no moon. Ah!